I'm Dr. Capital. I'm a guitarist, singer-songwriter, music educator, and YouTuber. I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. I grew up on the west coast of the United States, mostly Oregon and California. I worked for several years as a professor of music at the University of Southern California, and also for 3 years after that at the University of North Texas. I live in Osaka, Japan now, and my YouTube channel focuses mostly on playing Japanese music and doing music analyses to talk about the exciting musical elements and music theory that make the music really come alive and become more emotional. My artist name, Dr. Capital, has 2 layers. The first is I was in a hip-hop band in the late 1990s, and Capital was my artist name as a guitarist. Later, about 10 years later, I got my doctorate in music, and when I started working as a professor and doing music teaching in my YouTube videos, we combined my educational qualification, doctor, with my artist name, Capital, and I became Dr. Capital. When I was a teenager, I started on electric guitar, and I really loved all of the virtuosic hard rock and metal guitar player heroes. My favorite was Eddie Van Halen. I love Marty Friedman. Basically, Kirk Hammett, all the artists from my favorite metal bands and hard rock bands. Eddie Van Halen, probably my favorite. When I got into jazz music, my favorite guitar player was Bill Frisell. I just love his textures. And then, for acoustic and classical guitar, I know that he doesn't have the cleanest sound compared to a lot of the modern players, but I'm really in love with Segovia's playing style. Those were my 3 guitar heroes in high school. Later on in life, I developed many other passions and interests. So, I have 100 other guitar players I love today. But I must say, I never stopped liking any guitar player that I used to love. Like, I never outgrew Eddie Van Halen or Bill Frisell or Segovia. I still love them just as much today. The best decision I ever made professionally was just to open my mind and combine my qualifications in unique ways. My original vision was to just be like Eddie Van Halen, playing in a famous rock band, but you need a lot of things to fall into place for that. You have to have the right lead singer and the right, every instrument, and you got to write great songs, and that's pretty rare. Meanwhile, I had other interests in my life, like I was interested in different styles of guitar. I was interested in Japan and Japanese music, and I started combining my unique interests into my own artistry, and I found my own path that way. The most satisfying for me as a music professional is usually the moment before a big concert. It takes a lot of preparation to get to a big concert, and there's like a time in between rehearsal and when the show starts where you're just kind of waiting. There have been a bunch of times like this where I've been in a major festival or a huge venue, and in that stillness time between the rehearsal and the concert, when I'm just walking around backstage and looking at the huge stage and realizing I'm about to go out there and there's going to be thousands of people, that's always my favorite moment. The most embarrassing moments for me as an artist aren't when I make a mistake or something, because I just feel like that's a natural part of the flow and I accept that progression. It's usually if I take too much advice from somebody else And then I watch it back later and I realized I wasn't being myself. Those are embarrassing moments. The best tip I ever got was to try to let go of my ego. You know, in every aspect of playing and communicating and building your career, just having relationships with people, the more you can let go of, you know, your desire to have pride and accomplishment, the better. My big advice to a young musician is to open your mind as wide as you can, and then follow passionately what interests you. You might find that you have one specific interest and one specific goal, and you can move passionately towards that. That's wonderful. But it's also okay to have many different interests and to just kind of flow between them and follow your passion. The biggest cultural difference I feel between Japan and the US is just the approach to rules and structures. In Japan, you know, the society works very well. And one of the reasons it works very well is because everybody believes in the rules. But in America, you know, there's a lot of artistic things that happen because people don't like to follow the rules. So just the belief in following rules as positive versus the belief in breaking rules as positive is the biggest difference. The main thing I miss from the US that I don't experience very much in Japan is the collaboration style between musicians of various ages. Living and being a professional musician in Los Angeles, for example, you know, I might be in my 40s playing in a band with somebody who's in their 20s and another person who's in their 60s. And we all collaborate with a very open and honest and fun dynamic. There's not a lot of embarrassment in front of each other or trying to, you know, be extra respectful to this person versus that person. Meanwhile, in Japan, the societal structure is very hierarchical. So it's more difficult to collaborate with people of various ages and abilities without other things getting in the way of the music. If I were to move away from Japan, I would miss many, many things. I love the nature in Japan and the food. I love the people. I love the language. The thing that I would miss the most would maybe be the respect for music. Even though in the US we have many great artists and there's a lot of kind of life that fuels a beautiful music scene, there's also a lot of dismissiveness about being an artist. Like if you are a musician in America, many people think that means that you're kind of lazy and you don't want to do a real job. When you're a musician in Japan, people respect that and they realize it probably means you're working really hard. And maybe you could do another job and make a lot more money, but you've devoted yourself to music, which is an honorable thing to do. So I would miss that most if I left Japan. Of course, I love to sing in the shower. Singing feels really good. And when you're in a closed space and you get a nice reverb, it can be really fun and you feel free. But my favorite place to sing is in the car. That's the one thing I loved about living in Los Angeles with all the traffic. I would be in the car for 2 hours a day. The whole time I was just singing. My musical guilty pleasure, and I'm not at all ashamed of it, is 80s pop music, especially the Pointer Sisters, and Hall & Oates. Basically the music that was really popular when I was like in the 4th and the 5th grade. I still love those songs, and even after I learned to play music and analyze music, sometimes I look back on a song and it doesn't feel like, the most brilliant song or something that I would want to listen to if it was a new song, but those songs just live inside of my soul in a deep way. So the Pointer Sisters and Prince and Hall & Oates, those are maybe my 3 deepest guilty pleasures. My favorite thing to do when I'm not playing music is to ride my bike. I especially like riding up really steep hills. It's a good workout, and I always feel great when I get to the top. As a performer, I always thought it was cool to show up on stage wearing something nice, like it could be a weird outfit or a formal outfit. I also think it's cool if you're walking around the audience and you haven't even gone on stage yet, but people can still tell that you're about to perform because of what you're wearing. So yeah, I think it's cool to wear like a suit or a vest or whatever, just to like make it feel special. And then as a music professor, I feel like wearing a suit and tie sometimes. I'm not wearing that right now, but I usually do on my YouTube videos, and that's part of the professor image that I have. I played D'Addario XT Classical, treated strings, just normal tension. I love these strings because on classical guitar strings, usually the low 3 strings, E, A, and D, they get old and crusty a long time before the high 3 strings do. But because the XTs are treated, the low strings last a really long time, and I just feel like the strings stay together as a nice sounding set for longer. I've been playing D'Addario strings ever since I first started classical guitar. So that was, like 35 years ago. Basically my whole life as a musician. Yeah, my main mission as an artist is just to increase the amount of music in the world and the amount of musical enjoyment. So I hope you'll check out my YouTube channel and just fall in love with your favorite music a little bit more.